Hey, everybody, welcome to the Tech-Mex podcast. We're your hosts, Eric Armando, and this is episode 52. We're bringing you the top stories in Bitcoin, tech, and wealth so you can be a Mayan warrior. Dale.
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 Dude, talking about Mayan Warriors, I just came back from Burning Man.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I noticed your hairstyle looks a little different from last time.
Dude, everybody was saying that that shit was real. With all of the dust and all of the everything, like it looked pretty real. And we were able to match the color of my hair. So if you haven't seen what we're talking about, you can see our previous episode and you see my look.
Yeah, for those of y'all that haven't seen it, Mando had dreads. So it was it was like a Jamaican style. I don't know what you were going for.
Yeah, man. I don't know, but
so oh man. Well, how was it? So how was Burning Man this year?
I always like it. It's a time where I can just spend some time with my wife and as well some friends, and it's just a big party.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel that it's just there's a lot of connection with different people. We know already multiple burners in different camps, so we stop by and shout out to Child Lounge. That's one of those, right? So you can go and meditate, and they're very, very good people in a lot of places. Cool. I did feel. Go ahead.
How long was it? How long is it? Maybe for those that aren't familiar with Burning Man, maybe you give us a little bit of a summary of kind of how long it is, where is it at, stuff like that.
Yeah, so basically the event happens on, they call this Black Rock City, but it's just the event, it creates a city. It is about maybe, if there is no traffic, maybe 3 hours away from Reno. That's the closest airport. Some people, they keep just driving from different places of United States. We usually, because we have already everything in a container, we have a friend that he's our camp lead. You know him, Lee. Shout out to Lee.
Big Lee.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there's another Big Lee, but yeah. This is normally.
This is normally. So he kind of started the camp I'll say maybe 10 years ago, something like that. And then it has been growing. It used to be James and Lee, and then it started just getting bigger and bigger. And now I think that this year we almost were like almost 50 people. So and basically what we do is that some people they fly some to Reno and they drive. Some other people they just drive from Texas to Nevada, and then you start building kind of a structure, because what we do is that we build kind of a shade, so in that way it's not just your tent, because it's literally almost like camping. You're camping on the on the desert in the middle of nowhere, right? So it's basically nature, but it's kind of very harsh. There is like sandstorms, there is like the heat waves, right? Last year it was very hard because it rained. It usually doesn't rain. It hasn't rained like, I don't know, 20 years. It just drizzles a little bit. But yeah, that year it just poured some rain. So that was very tough. I
remember seeing all the news outlets last year were talking about this big mud. It was all this mud, all this rain. People were getting stuck. They couldn't get out. There was no food. Like, it was like a big thing in the news last year. This year we didn't really see any of that, right? So I guess it was a lot better.
It was a lot better. But I feel that this year there was only about 70,000 people. I feel that there was like maybe less, like 10,000 people less than from last year. I'm thinking that maybe last year was very brutal for a lot of people. And they say, you know what, I'm not coming to this.
Well, a lot of tech bros tend to go to this too, right? And I know they've been hit a lot by the economy with layoffs and things like that. So maybe that has something to do with it too.
Yeah, and it's not cheap. That's the other thing, right? Like the event, the ticket is almost $500, but that's not the problem. The problem is you have to buy all of your gear, right? You have to buy all of your tent and so on, right? And yeah, you can find some cheap stuff, right? But it's just it adds up. If you don't have a ride, you have to get a car or the bus to be able to take you there. So it can get pricey.
Yeah, well, it's a few grand per person, you think?
Yeah. So maybe average, maybe $2,500. But maybe some people, and again, you can use, you have like Paris Hilton, Elon Musk, all of these celebrities that they like they have their RVs and everything, so they can go way higher than that.
Did you see your buddy Elon out there this year?
Not this time, man.
Oh,
Not this time.
Give him a high five. Yeah, Cybertruck.
Cybertruck, you did a good job. Something interesting that happened this year, though, and maybe you'll start seeing it in social media. It's funny because we were about 30 people before, and suddenly Lee got this question from these Ukrainians. It's like, hey, could you host us? We gonna do an art in Burning Man. And Lee's like, oh, sure, whatever, right? We have an application, very, very kind of trying to understand the type of people, so that way if they match with our camp or not. Long story short, they're there. They were there.
Okay.
And I didn't know
how like doubled your camp size.
Basically, at least for this year. Not sure if they're gonna come. Some actually they were from Ukraine, so Ukraine. So, but yeah. They created this art piece called "I Am Fine," and it's just letters. And they were saying, yes, because I got there 1 day later. So basically, it's one week, and people start just going in. But you have to have like an early pass if you are building some art or something. They call them WAPs, so basically early access. And some people go maybe 2 weeks. It's just amazing how they built all of this infrastructure and art designs in just 2 weeks. And at the end, they burn it.
So did the I'm Fine structure also get burned?
No, that one, no. Which is like they have to disassemble because it cannot be burned. It's like metal. Yeah. And maybe when we are editing, our producer, Katie, maybe we can add some images of the structure because it's very emotional. Whether you are pro Ukraine or whatever, right? That's not the point. The point is just how different representations. But they brought these structures of artifacts from the war, so you can see like pieces of metal just getting shoot, like pieces of a door or maybe signs that they are just like from explosions or whatever. They were able to get all of that from Ukraine, and they built the letters, and it was pretty big. I didn't. Sometimes they were telling me, yeah, these guys are making the art design, and sometimes our art I have seen it at a small scale, right? So like was it, yeah, whatever. But when I went and see it, like holy shit,
it was big. How big was each letter?
I cannot
like person
tell
size?
you. It's way more than that.
Like maybe two people,
maybe three or four people, even bigger than that.
Oh wow, that's huge.
Yeah,
okay,
and
that's really big.
Yes. So it's really, really big. And when you are doing something that big, because there is wind, the wind will like knock it over. They have to build kind of like legs, and they have to drill on the dirt to make sure that with machines you cannot do it like by hand.
Yeah.
So
is that whole I'm Fine, does that have to do with like there's a meme out there where there's that dog that's like everything's burning around it? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. And in fact, I was very curious because I was thinking, I mean, one of the things that we're doing with this podcast is to try to get awareness, right, for Hispanics and tech and all of that. I was thinking, man, they inspire me. So shout out to all of the Ukrainians because they truly inspire me, this burn, to be out there and create art, right? We are doing in this spot. But I did ask.
I heard we even have Tech-Mex fans out there in
exactly.
Tech-Mex fans out in Ukraine, right?
So as I was talking to the Ukrainians, it's like, yeah, I really enjoy your podcast, Mando. Like, huh? It was completely random because how this Ukrainian? We are worldwide, baby.
Worldwide, baby.
So this Ukrainian is basically, he knows. I was trying to figure out how he knew about the podcast, and we have a friend in common that probably he just like told him, hey, this guy is doing a podcast, and he was very interested because we were talking about Bitcoin, we were talking about wealth, and he knew multiple episodes. So it's like that was the interesting thing. Also, he said that he had he did a short, and he just hit 1 million views. Wow. So it's like I was like, maybe I need to get like some lessons.
Yeah,
from
let's
him.
get some pointers.
I asked him, but unfortunately, he didn't know how he did it. Like I don't know, I just did, and he just blew up.
Yeah.
Anyways, Going back to the Ukrainians, I asked, how do you guys put together all of this huge like art? And basically, what they said is that they have like a group of two or three kind of like they are designers, right? Like the idea, like the founders, let's call them founders.
Mm-hmm.
And they were trying to figure out that idea. And yes, you're right. One of the things that they told me is like, if we want to build something like that, we it's better if you tap into something that is viral already.
Ah, yeah.
And guess what?
Social media, right? Mm-hmm.
Memes are viral, right? By
Yeah.
design. So they grab that, and then it's also when people are calling their families over there, "Hey, how you doing?" Usually they say, "I'm fine."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
So
that's pretty cool then. So they're sending a message out to other burners out there. Hey, we're the Ukrainians. Yes, we're fine.
yes,
That's good.
it was very good. A lot of people really like it. You start riding your bikes. That's the modus operandi over there. That's how you
Mm-hmm.
move around, and that it was very far. Like because sometimes the best structures are the ones that they are like dark, dark, dark everywhere because the light shines so much and it creates a different atmosphere. So yeah, this one is it was very in the back.
Okay, so
And
the art structures aren't near your camp necessarily. They're in a different area.
for people that don't know, it's like a half moon, and it actually the addresses they are like a clock.
Mm-hmm.
So 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. It doesn't close the whole loop. I think that that's the idea. In some point, when there's a lot of people, it might close the whole circle. But
Mm-hmm.
so far, I have never been in the event that it closes. It usually starts maybe 2 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
That's how, and then it has letters. The first line is A, B, C, and so on, right? So
Okay,
up to
so
up to
that's how you
K.
get around without getting lost, hopefully, because it's
So
pretty big area, right?
it is. It's just miles and miles, and you have to like bike around. So then the in the center of the circle, you have these sculptures, and some of them they are like wow, they're like pieces of art. You have the best artists going and trying to showcase their work. Then in the center, kind of in the center, you have the man, and by you have the kind of the Burning Man, and you have
Mm-hmm.
also the temple. The temple is a very is not religious, but we call it the temple. Is just to remember basically kind of things that die basically, like your some relatives, some friends, and it's a very different feeling because you are like partying basically, and suddenly when you get into the temple, everybody's just respectful and just quiet, and a lot of people start just crying because it's just the emotions there. It's massive, right? So you start seeing they draw. It's like, hey, grandma, I miss you, I love you wherever you are, right? Or some people they're like, hey, I resigned to be an engineer, like engineering is dead to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever you want to kind of remember or leave behind, you can write it there, and you see the whole temple just like full with those messages.
Wow. Well, that sounds pretty intense, pretty cool. I guess that's a big reason why a lot of burners like to go there, just because there's such a wide gamut of feelings that you get when you get there. Of course, there's kind of this party atmosphere, but there's also this deep in where you're looking inside of yourself and kind of releasing your most inner thoughts and secrets and things like that. So it seems pretty intense out there. And so you hear a lot of stories out there also. Actually, I heard that there was someone that got hurt. They fell off some kind of art installation. Did you see anything about that?
Yeah, it's you're in the middle of the desert, and you're building this. Something happens, right? Somebody and sometimes some people they just take drugs, right? And it's like they're like hallucinating in the middle. So you see different accidents all across. So but it's very minor. Like with the amount of people, probably you have also accidents in a stadium. Like
Hmm.
I feel that it's just the numbers game that you'll see some accidents like that. You know what? It was a little bit more surprising to me. It has been every time that I go, I notice this. There's not a lot of Hispanics though,
Mm.
nor people of color. Like, and that's I would expect an event like that to see at least, I don't know, the numbers that we see outside, right? Like 10%, 20%. But no,
It's pretty interesting. Do you think it's purely like a money thing, or is it like a different type of culture?
that's what I'm trying to figure out. If it is basically exactly, it's like because maybe money or this is just not their cup of tea, right? There are a couple things that they are from Latin America, like even Mexico, like the Mayan Warrior. It's an art card. Man, that thing is like, people were like, I want to go and hunt for the Mayan Warrior because it has a bunch of lasers and speakers and punches.
So the Mexican or Mayan ethos, people love it, right? So you would expect to see maybe more of that type of support there. That's interesting.
Yes, and I'm still trying to figure out why. Why is that? Because again, a lot of the people, if you ask a burner, if you know the Mayan Warrior, right? Like yes, and they can describe what it is, right? So it is well known. So yeah, it's not that they are not welcome. I mean, it's one of the principles of the event, right? When you go to the event, they have these sets of principles. I recommend if somebody is interested to go to the webpage and you'll see kind of the those ideas, which are almost, I feel that they are like almost a utopia. There's no money, by the way, in the event. So everything is just by matter of exchange and how, if you can connect with people, right? Like, hey, like you are thirsty and you only have your cup and you just go with the strangers, like, hey, man, can you just give me some water? And in some camps, they will tell you GTFO, right? or some other camps, they will tell you, well, I only can have alcohol, right? So, but when you're thirsty, probably you're looking for more.
Free vodka if you want it.
Like if you're Ukrainian, probably, but if I'm Mexican, tequila, baby.
Tequila, okay, yeah.
So I really enjoy the burn with the Ukrainians. So I feel that is just kind of and it was interesting though. It's just the burn is sometimes a small life because we also have some Russians. So in the camp, and guess what? You will not believe this. In kind of the last 2 days, there was a fight, and there were
really?
two ladies, and the Ukrainian kind of punched the other one. Everybody was like, "Whoa!" So it's very real, like like holy cow! It's like it's like a compressed life in just a week. Everybody calmed them down. Basically, the argument was that the Ukrainian she wanted to leave earlier, and the other one didn't. So, but the other one, the Russian was saying, "Hey, that was not the agreement. We agreed to leave her here," and this just punched her. But yeah, we were like, "Whoa!"
There must have been some other feelings, I think, behind that punch too. Right?
I feel that it was obviously the war. You're like Russian descent. You never know, right? Like whatever. So, but yes, we saw that, and that was a shame, but it is what it is.
Those are real feelings, real life. Like you said, it's kind of like real life is compressed into like a week, so you see a little bit of everything.
Yep. But yeah, I recommend anyone that wants to go or is curious. It's not for the faint of heart. You have to be fit a little bit because you have to bike everywhere.
That's what I hear. Right? There's long distances between everything, right?
Yeah. But I mean, there are many ways. There's a lot of information out there.
All right. Well, sounds good. I mean, maybe one of these years I'll get brave enough to go. You never know. But at least I know is it still called Cat Camp?
Yes, it's still there. So yeah, you can come with us. You have your spot in the floor.
Okay, as long as someone's making tacos, I think you'll be all
Dude,
right.
you miss my pastor tacos in the playa.
Oh, fancy.
Yep.
That's pretty good. Well, switching gears a little bit, I know a lot of people have been talking about this week. The Bitcoin, there's been a lot of Bitcoin volatility, not necessarily just Bitcoin because it seems like it's spread to stocks and things like that. So, Mondo, what do you think's going on right now? At least let's start off with what's going on. We're in the 50s again with Bitcoin. What's up with that?
So I think that sometimes it's just the regular volatility, but we are flying lower. I feel that if we go under 50s, then it's not the normal volatility. It
Yeah.
actually is affecting what is happening. Right now, also stocks are down. So that means that the message that we are getting from the Fed, that they are lowering the interest rates, it kind of signals to everyone and all of the investors that maybe economy is not as great. So that's
Hmm.
the reason why they need to inject kind of like lower the rates, and that way people can just get a better access to money in a cheaper way, and
Yeah.
then start just helping the economy. If the banks and the Fed, they don't do it properly, then we'll go into recession, which is kind of sucks, right? So because it feels like we have been in a recession, but no.
Yeah, I know there's been this thought about a hard landing, soft landing, just kind of how do you control kind of this big behemoth, which is the U.S. economy, right? But I think what freaks a lot of people out and why we're seeing this volatility is because in the past, usually when you see kind of like what seems to be is going to be an aggressive move by the Fed to lower the rates, that's because the Fed is seeing pretty much a recession coming. So when people see that recession coming, those indicators, you know, these alarm bells start going off. They're like, okay, we need to prepare for this because it's coming, right? And all indications show that the Fed is going to do kind of a steeper cut than what was expected. I think they always expected some cut in the rates, like towards the end of the year, but I think the fact or what people are thinking is coming, that it's going to be more of an extreme move or a harder cut. They think that means, hey, harder times are coming, recession's coming. So a lot of things are kind of going a little bit wild right now with drops in prices. But what we've also seen in the past, yes, this is normal to see this volatility to the downside after Fed signals that they're going to lower rates like this. It does have a recovery as well. So I think maybe we're not financial advisors or anything like that, so take it with a grain of salt. But usually, at least with Bitcoin, we've seen that after this like initial drop, we do see a recovery. And of course, we're at the cusp of the next Bitcoin bull cycle. So we do think this is kind of like one of the final ones before you see some upward movement. But
Yeah.
it is still in the low 50s right now. So if you're thinking of you know, DCAing in or buying some, maybe right now is a good time.
Yeah, for sure. I do have friends that they they just keep buying in a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen the analysis if doing a daily basis or weekly basis is better, or monthly basis, right? But for them, it's like I have some that they just do like $50, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have some others like basically any money that excess that they get from their businesses, they just buy, and they don't care what is the price, if it's in 70K or if it is in like 50K, which is I think that is maybe an approach that we have seen this year in kind of works.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, going back to the government, sometimes it reminds me. Have you seen those boats in Louisiana that they have, like they call them the airboats, that they just have like a big fan on the back?
Oh yeah.
Uh, those don't have anything. Basically, it's just accelerate and they just kind of move the fan one way or the other. I feel that the
Mm-hmm.
Fed is like that. they, they just have
I think the boat has still more control.
print money, stop the money, right? Like
Yeah.
interest rates, you just move it a little bit, like one side,
Yeah.
and that's it. Those are the two levers that they have.
Yeah. No, I mean it is very true. There's only so many levers that they can pull to steer this big ship around, right? I mean, I think another one of the things that came out recently were the unemployment numbers and things like that. Yeah, like we've talked about this on our show several times. Hey, lots of layoffs going on, especially in tech. What's going on? So these unemployment numbers keep rising and rising and rising, and to a certain extent, you don't want them to go too high because then right the economy stalls and you end up in recession, which that's what I think a lot of people are fearing right now. So
Yeah.
it's a big cycle. It all feeds into each other. So you just kind of have to wait and see, prepare a little bit,
Hmm.
and that's what people have done with the volatility in the stock market and the Bitcoin markets.
Yeah. I noticed a chart where they describe the market cap on the phase where we are with the amount of years for Bitcoin. And very interesting because they are saying that we are very early. And you might think like early? Well, if you think for humanity on how money got developed, yeah, it's like nothing, right? We are super
Mhm.
early. But something that was interesting is that how money in the beginnings usually is like a collectible. When you have like seashells before in the past, right, and all of these
Rock,
different,
shiny rocks.
yep, shiny rocks, right? They become all of these collectibles, even kind of gold, right? It was like something to wear until it became kind of useful, right? So in that way, the I have seen some people saying that first is collectible, then a store value, and right now because of the volatility, it's still not like a full store value. But in some point when banks they are allowed to even have custody, like if you go to Wells Fargo, like hey, I have my bitcoins, can you just store it for me? They don't know, right? They don't have like maybe in the regulations. So there's a lot of training that has to happen in the regular institutions to be able to get there. But like you can have a safe deposit. I feel that it's going to be like that with the banks. You can go to Fidelity, you can go with all of these institutions, and yes, you might be able to just print them out like certificates. But again, it takes some amount of knowledge to be able to do that. And I feel that that's maybe the next step where volatility has to get reduced, and then banks have to have some knowledge and approvals to be able to have custody.
Yeah,
Then,
I think you're right. Whenever you start framing it in that respect, like, yes, I think Bitcoin in general, the thought of, hey, what is Bitcoin? I think, yeah, that has gone mainstream. But just because the knowledge of it existing has gone more mainstream, it doesn't necessarily mean, it's of how to use it or how to implement it or how to store it. That part really is, we're still super early. And I think I've seen several different variations of this graph that likely producer Katie's going to show up here. That Yeah, we're still very early in this adoption curve, and like you mentioned, all the banks have to figure out how to make it work. We have some leaders in this, right, with like BlackRock, and all these other like ETFs that are helping people buy Bitcoin right now, but there's still a lot of different financial instruments that have to be developed, that leverage it, that use this, that will be coming out, over the next several years to try and help people use Bitcoin and crypto as a legitimate like financial instrument for them to use every day.
yeah. So I think that that's where we feel that the price is still has room to grow, right? And those are kind of the thinking. It still feels like a tech bro type of a thing. I did notice a reel coming off from the Barbie, basically Margot Robbie. She
Oh
was
yeah.
in a she was in an interview. Basically, she called it the big Ken energy when we start talking about Bitcoin.
Big Ken energy. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of funny. I mean, I know we talked a little bit about the Barbie movie and things like that. And for those that haven't seen it, or just a reminder, Ken in the movie is like all things like man, like, hey, bro, yeah, let's go do sports. Yeah, bro, let's go drive fast cars. Yeah, bro, that's like the bro energy that she's mentioning, and maybe like some people still see like Bitcoin being just kind of one of those things where it's only this small segment of people, like specifically like tech bros or maybe finance bros that are talking about this. But I think it for sure is spreading.
Yeah.
But in a way, she says it like big Ken energy, like it's a good thing, like it's something that you do want to see out of someone.
She compared it with Wi-Fi. It's like I need it, I want it, but I don't want to know how it's been done.
That's a
So
good point. Yeah, I mean, just like the same way, we don't know how. Well, a lot of people don't know how the financial networks work. How does your credit card work? Like, how does all of that money transfer behind the scenes and all the holds and things like that the bank institutions have to do? Which, by the way, Bitcoin fixes a lot of that. But yeah, you just use your credit card, right?
mhm.
It's kind of in the same way. So Barbie, Margot knows what she's talking about here. I think was this an interview she did with Swan Bitcoin, the company?
Yeah, yeah. She well, it wasn't with Swan. It's basically Swan grabbed that short, but I feel that it was with somebody else. But they
I
just
gotcha.
did a snippet with that. But yeah, they talking about payments though. When I was in Burning Man,
Hmm.
uh, I contributed to be in this place that is called the Antarctica. There are only two places that they charge you money.
Hmm.
One is for gas, and the other one is for ice. Everything
Oh,
else is just free. There is no money on the event. So it's only your charisma and, and your ability to negotiate.
yeah.
So, uh, and then I was noticing that people were paying with Apple Pay. Like, hey, do you guys accept Apple Pay? Well, give it a try. You're in the middle of the desert. We'll see if it picks up.
Hmm.
And it was picking up. And I'm not kidding. Maybe 30%, 40% of the people that they were paying with Apple Pay or cash. That was random.
Mm.
So maybe people they were thinking, hey, maybe credit cards will not work. They just brought some cash. But yeah, it's just funny and how Apple Pay was working in the middle of the desert. So the other thing that happens is that people have this idea of the mystic that Playa will provide, and you'll hear a lot of people saying, well, you need to find $20, man, because you're $20 short. Playa will provide. And the person behind is like, sure, here is $20.
Uh,
And then it's just one of those funny things in the event that Playa will provide.
That's too funny. Well, I mean, lots of cool stuff, and I'm interested. Do you see anything like Bitcoin crypto related over at Burning Man?
Um, Not really. Like it maybe some NFTs and on art that
Hmm.
people they were putting there, but I didn't see a lot of Bitcoin related, which is interesting because it's tech bros a good portion of it. Um, that's an interesting thing. I didn't see an art card as a Bitcoin. Maybe
Hmm.
something like that would be funny, you know.
Yeah, it's like NASCAR sponsorships. You start putting the stickers on all the the art vehicles. Yeah, but I guess it kind of makes sense because the whole thing about Burning Man is that right. It's not like a normal economy, right? I guess in the end, like if you need gas or ice or something like that, yes, you got to pay for it because those are difficult things to come about. But
Yeah,
otherwise, it's you don't talk about money, I guess, right?
yeah. You don't talk about money over there, I guess. And talking about the ice, if you get like a bunch of ice, it's melting. Like while you're going your freaking bike, the heat is melting the ice, and it's like,
Instantly, huh?
and you just get like whatever remaining of the ice for the coolers, right?
Yeah, that's true. Hey, well, switching gears again. Did you hear the news this week about Selena Gomez? She's like one of the youngest billionaires now.
I'm telling you, man, it's in the last name Gomez.
Go Mondo, go Mondo.
A funny story about the burn. Sorry that I'm bringing lots of stories from the burn, but right now it's very recent. There was this Ukrainian, amount of, like I said, maybe 50% of the camp, it was Ukrainians.
uh,
There was a Ukrainian Gomez relative.
no way.
It was this chick that she just looks Ukrainian,
Uh,
and her last name was Gomez.
no kidding. It's
So then
spelled
I start
with a
calling
Z
her.
or with an S.
No, no, it's like Gomez. Like what happened is that she got married with a Cuban.
Ah,
So that
okay.
was her first husband. But it was just funny. I just started calling her Cos.
Oh yeah, cuz.
So yes, we are everywhere, and yes, Selena Gomez became a billionaire,
Oh,
uh, and
that's
and this was because of her beauty brand, right?
hmm. Yeah, that's so that's what we're reading. Of course, a lot of people already know of Selena Gomez because she's done music, she's done Disney, but those aren't her biggest contributors. In fact, it's maybe even less than 5% of her contribution of to her wealth. It really comes from her rare beauty brand that she started. Get this, it's 5 years ago. So in 5 years ago, she added all, all of this value to her net worth, really from I think her beauty brand targets like a little bit more of the complexions like you and I. So I think that's part of it, tapping into the Latino economy, Latino network. It's really helped her out. I mean, it does help that she has friends like Taylor Swift and that she has a pedigree of, the whole Disney and all that. So she's a well-known brand, but it's really worked out for her. $1.3 billion.
Wow. I thinking about that is like similar to Kylie from how she was building also her empire. I'm not saying that it's easy for them, but they do have a platform, right? So we are trying to build that platform, and we're starting from zero, right? We are a bit late to the game, man.
Well, social media. Well, okay, so they say that Selena Gomez, she's got over 400 million Instagram followers or social media followers. I mean, that's a good amount. I mean, I think it's number 3, right?
Yes, you have like a Lionel Messi, and you have a Cristiano Ronaldo, right? Those are the other ones that they have a lot of them.
Soccer stars, and then we got Selena Gomez. Well, that's pretty awesome. I mean, it's good to be able to see that Latinas stepping up and really being able to represent and make big waves in industry like this. It's pretty cool.
And she's in early 30s. She's about 32 or something like that. And yes, right now they are estimating 1.3 billions because of that. So her story is interesting, right? So humble beginnings. They grew like poverty, right? They have like a single mom, right? And I feel that the mom is white and the dad is Hispanic, something like that, right? If I remember their story, and yeah, they moved to LA to be able to get a kind of a position themselves to be able for her to get a gig on, like in this case, Disney.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty. That story is one, that you see a lot of Latinos like this, right? Being raised in kind of, just single parent households type of thing. But, she had, her parents had the foresight to position her in the best way to try and get into Disney. I think she always wanted to be like an actress or performer, stuff like that. So being out in LA was going to be her best bet to try and do that and check that out. It ended up working out for her. So, they had humble beginnings. It is doable. She's made it to the billionaire to become a billionaire at just the short age of 32. It's very, very impressive. Did you ever watch any of her Disney shows?
I did, because I have my kiddos, and let me try to remember. It was like Wizards of Waverly Place or something like that. And it's just like it was funny. I mean, it's like one of those things, and yeah, she's charismatic, right? So and she knows how to sing, and a lot of people think that she's like very pretty, right? So is kind of help her to propel her career. And one of the things that maybe people don't realize is that she has lupus. I'm not sure if you can tell people what it is, but it's basically. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very true. And maybe some of y'all that did follow her before remember, like she had to have this surgery, and her friend was able to donate like an organ or something like that. So her lupus caught up with her very, very severely and quickly. So for those of y'all not familiar with lupus is an autoimmune disease. It's basically where your body starts attacking itself. A lot of times it's very difficult to kind of diagnose, at least in the past, because it was not a very, very well known, well understood, or common thing. So a lot of younger folks, if they got it when they were a little bit younger, like in their teens, they would get sick and they wouldn't know why. And, things like it would attack your kidneys, or it would attack different organs. Or if you remember Seal, he was another singer, like an R&B singer. He had like it attacked his skin as an organ. So he had kind of, you could see it on his face. Lupus is the one that where you see the butterfly symbol on the face too. It gets kind of very red on your face. And part of the treatment is steroids and immunosuppressants. A lot of the same drugs they give to like cancer patients
Mm-hmm.
are actually used, but it's to basically try to calm down your immune system and keep it from attacking the body. So very, very interesting. But it just also goes to show, like, everyone has these things that are obstacles that they're meant to overcome in their lives. And I know Selena Gomez here has done a great job with it. And I think she's now helping bring more awareness to lupus and making sure people know about it and know that there's resources out there that they can use to help them. So it's pretty cool. Big fan of hers.
Yeah, and there was a controversy maybe a couple of years ago because she started gaining weight, and people didn't realize that it was because very likely some of that medicine, that the steroids, and again she started gaining weight, and they basically the fans were really really sorry for her because like they kind of knew, but still kind of she was forced to explain why she gained weight, right, in response of kind of the body shaming, because maybe I remember there was a swimsuit. She was in a swimming suit, and it's like, hey, she looks fat, blah blah, without knowing the context of Selena Gomez's life, right, and history. So um, uh, once again, it's a very interesting how she's able to, despite all of that, all of those challenges, to go to that status.
Yeah, that's very true, and I think that's also kind of an important lesson. You really don't know what's going on in other people's lives, so like cut people some slack, cut people a break, just because you never know what they're going on, right? Yes, she's out in social media. Yes, that's part of her allure or of her story is kind of her looks and things like that. And yeah, she gained weight, but a lot of it has to do with her illness and the treatment with that. Steroids give you the moon face, so you end up getting a little bit of a rounder face. I know I got a round face. It's not from steroids, but and you end up a lot of times gaining weight because you get really hungry. You sometimes get some of that roid rage, and it's all part of that. So it's good to see that she's got it under control. At least it seems like that. So let's hope that she stays healthy and she can continue to kind of represent the Latino culture out there in the industry.
For sure. Talking about these challenges, you remind me about Bruce Lee, believe it or not. That guy, people don't know, but he had one leg shorter than the other one.
No way.
Yes, way, and not that's basically one of the things. Another one is he couldn't see very well. He also needed glasses, but the guy is just practice, like discipline, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and he's I was watching interview with Joe Rogan. No, with Bruce Lee. Somebody.
Okay, I was like Bruce Lee with Joe Rogan.
No. I knew that you would pull it. No, and they were talking about Bruce Lee, that he's truly the father of MMA and fighting, because he was the first one to try to incorporate different moves, and because before it used to be you were part of this kung fu or this karate or this whatever judos, and suddenly this guy is coming and trying to just grab whatever he wants from all of this, and it was like almost like a sacrilegious, because almost these places were like a cult.
So MMA being mixed martial art, I get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
so, but again, you're talking about this guy doing it like I don't know, in the 60s or whatever, right? Like very very early for kind of the thinking. So, but yes, my point here is that everybody has different challenges, and they're trying to compensate on based on that, and you just try to make the best out of that. So in this case of Bruce Lee, you couldn't even tell that his leg was shorter than other, right?
Yeah, he became the GOAT, one of the greatest of all time, right?
Well, in that time, it's like people wanted to like learn even freaking like karate, right? That's what made famous and popular all of that. Like kids wanted to just like have their karate costume or taekwondo or whatever, right? And he made it cool.
Yeah. So true. And so Selena Gomez is doing the same thing for lots of kids out there. She's being a great role model and trying to do things the right way and being out there. And hey, she's been rewarded for it handsomely, $1.3 billion. Hey, so I want to remind y'all to like, subscribe, and comment. You know, we do love to hear from you. Hopefully you enjoyed the stories we brought to y'all today. If you haven't watched our viral Bitcoin videos, check them out. The price is going to explode here any day now. Not financial advisors, but that's all we've got for today. Dale.
Dale.